Hello everyone, welcome to TaiyangNews. This is Bhambhani reporting from Intersolar Europe 2026, and we are at the booth of JA where I'm joined by Dylan Middleton, who is the head of ESG and Public Affairs Europe for JA. Welcome to TaiyangNews, Dylan.
Thank you very much.
How is the Intersolar coming along?
Intersolar has been good. There's been a lot of good energy, a lot of new technology and innovation that we're seeing on the stands. I think it's been a busy day one so far, and looking forward to seeing the energy continue through for the remainder of the show.
Yeah, it shows at your booth also. So at Intersolar, I believe that you are also exhibiting, you're highlighting your low carbon solar modules. So as the head of ESG and Public Affairs Europe, what does low carbon concretely mean for JA's products and manufacturing in general today?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've got our low carbon solar modules on display on the booth here. In terms of what low carbon means concretely for JA, it's about finding ways to reduce the embedded carbon footprint of our products, not just our modules, but also our diversified portfolio of products. It's really about finding tangible ways to reduce the embedded carbon there. And it focuses through supply chain innovation, material selection, and in manufacturing optimization. And it really is not about a single technology or a marketing claim, but a systematic approach across the value chain of reducing embedded carbon.
So when you talk about technology, could you tell us what are the specific technologies or practices that JA has adopted to reduce the carbon footprint across your manufacturing and the supply chain?
Absolutely. So the first point to maybe highlight, right, is when we're talking about decarbonization at a group level, we should take into consideration our net zero science-based target that's been verified. And then when it comes to the technology side of it, we really are about focusing our efforts and innovation on where the carbon hotspots sit within the supply chain. So when it comes to solar modules, if you look at the carbon footprint breakdown of a solar module, what you'll see is about 30% of the carbon footprint of the module comes from the polysilicon. Just under 30% is from other material inputs. And then there's certain key hotspots in the manufacturing process, such as at our cell manufacturing, which has high energy usage. And we're focusing there through material selection. So for example, in terms of polysilicon, how can we utilize innovations in polysilicon technologies such as FBR, Fluidized Bed Reactor technology, to bring down the embedded carbon in the modules, and combining that technological innovation with a broader circularity concept of using more recycled material upstream in the value chain. So combining FBR technology, for example, with a high share of recycled polysilicon, and looking at the impact that that has in bringing down the carbon footprint of the modules.
So when we talk about low carbon solar modules, how does this low carbon positioning translate into value for European customers, with particularly given that there's so many EU policies around that. So how are you positioning it?
Well, it's positioning us as one of the very few manufacturers that can really produce low carbon products at scale, right? And it's really allowing us to give a offering to our clients in the European market and the global market, quite frankly, to source products where the carbon emissions are verifiable. And you can tell for every single product that you procure from JA, for example, what those emissions look like. And when we talk about the specific low carbon product at JA on the module side, is what we call ITS low carbon. And it's essentially our traceable low carbon solar modules. And it's a solar module solution that has only about 57% of the carbon compared to traditional modules coming out of China today. So it's a solar module solution that maintains quality, performance, reliability, warranty. It doesn't compromise on any of the technical parameters, but its output is only 57% of the carbon of traditional modules that we're seeing at mainstream mass production today. And that's really one of the fundamental differences there.
Okay. So at Intersolar, I believe JA is releasing 2 white papers as well. So one of them is Renewable Energy and Energy Security and Industry Perspective. So what prompted JA to publish this paper now? And what is the central message that you want to convey through this white paper, be it for policymakers or for stakeholders across?
Absolutely. So that is one of 2 white papers that we're launching now. We're launching this white paper together with work that we've done with the Global Solar Council. And what's published it is, we've seen recent disruptions to the energy supply system. and the knock-on implications that has had for not only the energy market, but for economic competitiveness, the impact it's had on consumers, etc. And energy security is obviously a fundamental topic for a renewable energy manufacturer like JA. And we're looking at really contributing to the ongoing dialogue on the topic of energy security and the role that renewable technologies can play in facilitating that. It looks at topics like addressing some of the barriers for deployment. It acknowledges some of the supply chain dependencies on critical materials, etc., but it gives an industrial perspective on balancing that versus overall global energy security.
Okay. And there's another white paper, which is Green Token Index for Artificial Intelligence Data Center, or AIDC as we know it. So what does this Green Token Index mean? And how does it help really the data operators of So how does it help?
Yep. So essentially what the Green Token Index white paper looks at is we're seeing from the industrial perspective, right? We're seeing a growing demand coming from the data centers powering AI. We're seeing a massive growth in the demand for energy there, and it's looking to create a somewhat harmonized language to compare computational output and energy inputs and sustainability metrics. So it's looking to find a common language to be able to look at for the AI computation that's needed and the energy that feeds into that, how do we measure its sustainability? And it looks at the renewable energy usage within that.
That's interesting. So thank you so much, Dylan, for being with us, for taking time out to talk to us, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Yes, thank you, and looking forward to engaging further.
Yes.